Great.
Sorry, I was just like looking at recording buttons.
Are you
Okay.
recording?
Yes.
Yeah. Morning, Karleen.
Morning, Morv. I'm not going to ask you how you've been because we'll get to that in a minute. Are you okay if I go first?
Yes, please. That'd be lovely.
Okay. So before we get started, I'd just like to apologise to anyone I have not been in contact with over the past few weeks, but I've had to distance myself to not entangle with anyone that may be involved with what we are going to speak about next. So just to make it clear from the beginning, this is a recording for transparency and with public interest in mind. So on the 23rd of October, 2024, I received an email and a letter from NAS solicitors in London. I'm just going to show you this letter here. Oh, you can see that? NAS solicitors in London. And Morven had received similar, accusing us of creating a malicious campaign of defamation and harassment, against Jaqueline Hobbs and Oracle Girl. So this was through a video series we'd published on YouTube of Morven's personal experience of being within Oracle Girl's purification space. We have been asked to immediately remove all videos and any statements made elsewhere on social media, to provide a public apology, and to give in writing assurance that no further discussion of Oracle Girl, Jaqueline Hobbs, or her work will take place. And if we do not comply with these demands, we will be issued proceedings for the King's Bench Division in London. So we see this letter as a threat to our freedom of speech through intimidation in order to silence us. In our defense, we assert the right to comment on the truth and for any being to give a truthful account of their experience from their perspective. So for my part, I have within these videos tried to hold a space of neutral observer in witness of Morven's clear distress and her need to express her experience within the purification space. We stand with truth and deny all claims of harassment, defamation, or libel. Personally, I have serious concerns around some practices that take place within the purification space that I won't go into now, but I cannot, with good conscience, comply with any of these demands or give a public apology. The experience shared by Morven is not a standalone account and can be cross-supported by others that are consistent with their truth, and therefore we claim legitimate exposure in public interest. We will, going forward, be commencing a new video series highlighting the psychological techniques of coercive control and undue influence, including hypnotic suggestion, dark psychology and manipulation, brain entrainment, thought-stopping techniques, and thought reform. I just needed to get that statement out of the way. Now I can talk to you. Hello, sweetheart. How are you?
Hey,
How are you
Karleen.
doing?
Yeah, it was good to listen to that again. Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Well, I'm not fine. It's been really stressful to receive an email from NAF solicitors, which is incredibly detailed. I can't remember how many pages it was. That I also just, it's frightening to receive. It definitely goes against free speech. That we're living in an era where we're all wanting truth, transparency, and for people or institutions or initiatives, to make explicit and upfront what it is they're doing, why they're doing it, and what your actual participation in it is. So I think, it's a massive big picture issue here in general, which, obviously kicked off in a very dramatic way in 2020. But in this
Yeah, I mean,
particular instance,
I think this is kind of, we have said before, this is like the tip of the iceberg.
yeah,
That it's not that only, it's not a personal thing. I think that's the other
no,
thing. It's like, it's not just because you were unlucky enough to have those experiences yourself personally. It's also a bigger picture than that.
yeah.
And we're not creating a vendetta against one individual person. It's about the dynamics used
And the techniques, yeah,
and the
exactly. The
techniques.
methodology, the dynamics, yeah. And I mean, I obviously have been processing this since I took myself out feeling very unwell, for a year and a half or something now. So I'd also, I'm always making notes and educating myself and processing what's going on. So I also wanted to say something out loud here today, with my right. It's a human right.
Absolutely agree.
It's a human right to speak truthfully about what one has experienced. It doesn't and not supposed to be reperspectivized. And it is not up to another voice to say, you need to be quiet because I don't like what you're saying. That's utterly unacceptable to me. I don't know if it's particularly because I'm a mum or just because I'm a human being. So I feel like I am speaking out and updating today in transparency because my desire is to raise awareness in the public interest, including my own, obviously, regarding these sort of dynamics in general, because they are ubiquitous, in my opinion. In my opinion, they're ubiquitous on planet Earth right now in world societies, and they've been here for quite a while. I don't want to be subjected to psychologically manipulative techniques, thank you. Unless I've asked for it up front and it's been offered to me up front, would you like to be psychologically, you know, what, I don't even know what the word would be, but I don't think anyone would want to do it. So, I'm really concerned as a mum as well, because a lot of these initiatives, what are looking to me that I've been looking at for a long while, and this was a very unlucky one. What look like grassroots community caring initiatives that are popping up online, particularly since 2020, because that is how I saw this thing called the purification space. It was in 2020 during lockdown when there was enormous confusion for everyone in society about what is going on. The stories, the narratives are, always slightly changing according to the country you're in or even the profession you're in, whether you're a key worker or not, are you supposed to do this or that? And most of all, the key theme being that many of us felt that the human right of consenting to doing whatever, in world societies in general, is a human right and has been acknowledged as a human right, and that truthful speaking and upfront laying out of situations and aims and goals and agendas is supposed to be how this society, these global societies work, or this global society or world societies. So, what I feel is like, I am speaking truthfully about my personal experience. It was extremely disturbing and distressing. I'm not happy about it. And I feel like I'm not just concerned about me, I'm concerned about the well-being of others, about these techniques and in general. And obviously, I'm going to be referring to my personal experience in the purification space. And, I'm especially concerned for children because as a mother, what kind of mothering are they going to be receiving if I'm getting disassociated and speaking a lot of word salad with new concepts and ideologies about what the hell I'm hearing, which is going into my psyche? And obviously, I'm witnessing people around me, many mini groups springing up, all using the same language. Not anyone able to bring their own way of expressing reality today, but having to adhere to or finding themselves and oneself adhering to catchphrases that come from hanging out in the purification space. And I'm really concerned about the fact that there are events, and I have attended them, that are for children and young people. And for some under 10 years old, Karleen. And of course, this is being marketed as for our inner children, as well as our own children and the children all around the planet. And I have been to one of those, and it was extremely regressive.
Yeah.
Where you're starting to feel very infantile and very soft and goo goo gaga. And hearing that other people's children are writing in, telling someone that they've never met online, I love you, Jaqueline, and I love you too, is the response. And stories about bunnies hopping and rabbits and forests and fairy stories, which of course, all the time that I've been in this space, there is there's my critical thinking part at war with the bit that's getting programmed. So I'm going to pause there. It is actually distressing to speak out about this stuff, and takes, it's not an easy thing to do.
I know, because I've been with you the
Yeah.
whole time.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not doing it for personal pleasure. Thank you.
So, what help have you sought? I want to express what help you have actually sought, because you have needed help, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, I was trying to do it alone as ever, because there's this sort of feeling of being ashamed, like, how could I have, and such mental confusion, that I have sought therapy from and counseling from what you would call cult experts, people that give counseling. I didn't even know this was a thing in world societies, and it's been going on for decades. People that help people who have been subjected to cult dynamics, which include some of those strategies you mentioned, techniques you mentioned, Karleen, like the thought stopping and thought reform, the new ideologies, and a figurehead out front, running the whole show sort of thing. So yeah, I've had counseling. I will be continuing counseling, but I've also been educating myself. It's not just counseling. It's not just, I'm telling the story and having a bit of a cry and going home. It's about really educating myself on all the techniques and what it looks like, and what you've actually endured, like for real. And these cult counselors are not saying, oh, I think this is just your opinion. They are going, this is what it looks like, and your experience is this. So it's really educational, as much as being able to discharge some of the emotions and the upsets around it. So that's what's been going on for me.
Good.
Yeah,
I'm glad that you have been pursuing the help, because obviously, being your friend,
yeah,
I can only be your friend. I can only kind of walk beside you in this.
absolutely.
I can't be a therapist for you,
Exactly,
because I'm just too close.
Yeah, and I feel really grateful for that, Karleen, that we are actually friends, and that's that boundary. Like, we're friends, and not blurring that boundary, of a friend and a therapist, where any bias could come in or whatever, or I'm leaning on you in some way that affects our friendship. So yeah, it's been really important for me to get support, and also to I've been there's actually a huge amount out there on coercive control, undue influence, brain entrainment, psychological techniques, NLP, because it's all coming through the frequencies of the brain, of the brainwave, what we're being subjected to, what we're listening to, how we're piecing things together. So I've been listening to, loads of what we might call, experts in the field, but also survivor stories, people that have been through this and are speaking out, and have been speaking out for a while, about these dynamics in general, and what it feels like to experience, and what you go through, and what you end up feeling like at the end of it. So it's actually not sort of rocket science. It seems to be, you either end up feeling like your brain is in a mush, with the figurehead's voice going on and on and on, and all these concepts and ideas sort of replacing your own way of expressing things and your own way of translating reality. Or if you're not out of it, you're still in so and so says, and it's like this, and there's something wrong with you or others, you know.
So I wasn't going to say some of the things that actually concerned me, but I will now. Now you've
Yeah.
mentioned it.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, the the fact that you have, and I have to reiterate, you are not the only person who has approached me
Yeah.
that has this experience,
Exactly.
or who has approached you that has this experience, where you are hearing someone else's voice in your head that is taking over your own rational judgment and your own thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That is programming. You have been programmed by someone else's voice
Yeah.
to take over your own thinking,
Yeah.
right? Regardless where it comes from or how it's got in there, you
Yeah.
know, the repetition of it is enough, you know, if you're advised to just keep listening to my voice,
Mm.
or, you know,
Yeah.
or a meditation track, for example, because
Yeah.
you're in a vulnerable position with a meditation track. Your mind is actually open to receiving programming. It's why a lot of people went into meditation in the first place, or it came out as part of the New Age movement, let's put it that way.
Yeah. Now I mean, you see, I feel like I'm sort of slightly new to all of the understanding of all these things because, as I've said before, my career, is as a professional classical violinist. I wasn't a meditator, but what I do, yeah, I mean, like listening to someone else's voice as a meditative experience does not sound right to me now. Obviously, at the time, it was like I was curious and I wasn't clocking any of it. But I think, from what I've looked into as well as, and if talking about the purification space or what's happening with Oracle Girl, there are key phrases repeated. And to start, a track or a voice recording. Let's just call it a voice recording. So there's a voice recording coming to your email, which you then listen to, and you're advised to listen to it on repeat, including even sleeping, but not driving. So there's an awareness there, but not driving. And it always starts with just relaxing and listening to my voice. Those are the words that start every single track. They never deviate. And I would also say, like, from my personal sort of assessments of musing upon what's going on and what did happen, it's not just that someone's ideas are supplanting your rational judgment. It's the tone of the voice that you start to hear, like a tape recording playing in your head. You can start to hear the person's tonalities. In the same way as a musician, I can hear a whole symphony in my head. I can hear a whole symphony with 25 different instruments. I think that's probably a normal human thing. Yes, I might be heightened because of training, but the tone of someone's voice, the way they nuance, it's all of it. So it's super intense, not just a few, you know, concepts that cannot be verified as true or false right now.
So that this is really the thing that actually disturbs me.
Yeah.
It is actually quite disturbing, you
Yeah.
know, that
Very.
you can, having like witnessed for you, um, and others, not just you, I have to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
um, that you can have such invasive thoughts that you cannot think outside of them.
Mhm.
That is really concerning,
Yeah.
that you have seemingly no control over your own thinking.
Yeah.
And that when you do have a thought, someone else's voice comes in and takes over to go, oh, no, 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 it's not that word, it's this one. We'll
Yeah.
relabel it this.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that is one of the things that I find exceptionally disturbing about the things that you were advised to do in the purification space.
Yeah. It is very disturbing. And I think I'd said before in one of our videos when we were having a conversation, that, you know, I've been on the planet quite a while, but I've heard phrases like programming. But of course, I thought, well, that's the thing that happens to others, not me, because I'm a musician and a mom and I'm going about my life. I know 2020 was, we were not going to go into that, obviously, but such a shock for the entirety of humanity, I would imagine, of what the hell's going on, that I felt like a lot of these things I want, it's not, I didn't know about programming, period, you know, but in the sort of confusion of 2020, I was looking around to see, do people understand what's going on? Who does understand? And who's saying, you know, is anyone using their voice to speak out about what, you know, or whatever? So it is very disturbing to come across someone that's sort of out front making claims that they know what's going on and giving a reason for it, like, you know, that they're an advanced being and that's why they know what's going on. And of course, naively, I could say about myself, or innocently, I'm taking people at their word because I'm unaware of how deep programming goes in whatever arena it's occurring in. So I'm taking people at their word, trusting that when someone opens their mouth to communicate something to me, that they are communicating something of a truthful nature and that there is nothing behind it. You know, I'm literally taking it all at face value. So when someone says they're an advanced being, I'm going, oh, are you? Okay. Oh, okay. I'm just a violinist. You're an advanced being, you know? And of course, there was a lot of stuff released in 2020 when we were all in lockdown online, and there was no alternative being locked down. Even friends and family weren't supposed to be seeing each other. So most communication was online, and there were a lot of YouTube videos, or a significant amount of YouTube videos from Oracle Girl speaking out with authority about this great shift and so many different topics. You know, the topics cover the entirety of human endeavoring on this planet. And so, you know, whether this was being promoted, as it were, or whether I was just stumbling across it, I don't know. But, you know, I didn't know about programming. I'm just trying to reiterate, it was something that happened to someone else, you know, Karleen.
Yeah.
You know, someone else is getting programmed, not me.
I think it's the depth as well. It's like
Yeah.
when you realize that we're all programmed to a certain extent.
Yeah.
It's just the being able to dig underneath it and educate ourselves on how it functions,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And
there's
I mean,
also the compassion, you know, you know what I'm like. I always go then into like the compassion for everybody.
yeah.
And you know, none of us are free from programming. You might think you are, but it's only through new revelations, you know, that
Yeah.
I've kind of had to go back in and go, oh no, where did that program come from? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Or at least having our mental capacities to be pondering upon, is this true? You know, is this in material reality? Could it be? Couldn't it be? You know, or at least have a neutral sort of, it might be, it might not be. And when you say about compassion, I feel the same, Colleen, because I think I think we both said this in the last time we did, you know, have a recorded conversation together. Like, the old-fashioned words for programming were sort of indoctrination, brainwashing, human, you know, conditioning, or the human
Conditioning.
condition. We've
Yeah,
been
yeah, yeah.
conditioned. But this, like you say, this is going deeper. And my concern as well is, like, from compassion is, who is Jaqueline? Is she also being subjected to undue influence, coercive control? How can one person single-handedly do all this stuff with a team that's never mentioned by name? So that's what I mean by coming from compassion as well. It's like, this is not from vindictiveness of saying, like, there's someone really bad out there doing blah blah. The result of what they're doing is not good, in
Yes.
my opinion and my personal experience. But how has that happened that that person is in that position? What is going on? And I don't have the answers to that.
I don't think any of us do unless it's, further investigated into, and is she's just one person. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, and, you know, sorry if you think that we've bad-mouthed you and everything, but it's not, but
Not,
some of the techniques that you're using are coercive control.
yeah.
And I have to stand with that truth. I can't deny it.
No.
From listening to, other people's experiences, I haven't experienced it myself personally because I've not been in the space.
Yeah. 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 I mean, this is what I was wondering, and I think we touched upon it really briefly when we checked in the other day, was um, I had looked deeply as well into the ethics of hypnosis or hypnotic technique that can be used in a therapeutic situation, but it's between one client and one therapist, and it's confidential and it's bounded, and it is led by the client. Like, what is it that you've got an issue with? And it's supposed to be so rare, because otherwise you are treading into the human psyche, and you are unwelcome in there without consent, you know? And what I was feeling was like, I know that people, well, I think it's even in the solicitor's letter, say, sort of denying, so they've listened to parts of our
Yeah.
conversations, but they've not listened to much of it. And they've said, we deny this, and this, but they've not even listened to its entirety. They're taking stuff out of context, etc., etc. But the one thing was like, oh, Jaqueline is not a hypnotherapist and doesn't use hypnotic techniques. And that had troubled both of us, because it's like, well, if she's not trained in hypnotherapy in terms of using it in an ethical and positive way, if she's not trained in that, why do these tracks start with just relaxing and listening to my voice, receiving the purification for? Why do these things happen? Is she conscious then that she's using it, or is she not conscious? And both are a
Oh,
problem.
problem. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree with that, because it could be that, she does have no understanding of hypnosis, and she does have no understanding that what she's doing is creating issues in people.
Yeah.
It could be a genuinely innocent thing, and she thinks that she's doing it for the right reasons. But
Yeah.
that's the problem. Having been a meditator since I was 5 years old, that is the problem with people
Yeah.
coming up into the meditational field and going, I'm just going to get you to listen to my voice, because
Yeah.
you don't realize how you can be programming people through it. It's why I don't give tracks. I have taken all of my meditation tracks down. I do not do it in classes. I do not do it in courses. You get a transcript. You know why you get a transcript? So that you can program yourself with your own frequencies and with your own voice, not
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah. And your own thoughts and your own brain and the way you function and the way you translate. You meaning
Absolutely.
an
An
individual.
individual, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Because,
have had a high amount of concerns about the meditation stuff, because it's what I was brought up with,
mm,
and being able to pick it apart, and
yeah.
why and where do you go and how do you go and what is that exactly?
Yes. Yeah. And it's funny, isn't it? Because, I had lots of friends that I would consider, I don't even know what language to use anymore, new age or spiritual or whatever, or self-development or self-aware. I always considered myself very self-aware, but I wasn't necessarily involving myself in things like this, but a little bit like a hobby, a little retreat here and there. But I had no idea in a way about like what meditation, like the non-beneficial side of
Mhm.
meditative tracks, whether it's someone's voice or those, what are they called, binaural beats and stuff like that. I just, this is where I'm really interested in educating myself about these things, because I don't want to fall into this stuff ever again.
Yeah.
I don't want my children falling into this. I don't want other people that are adult like me being subjected to it or falling into it. And I just like what the next generation, they've got huge challenges. I mean, we've all got huge challenges because there's stuff going on where there's a very big push to groupthink, and it's branded as community, or we're all one, or unity. We've spoken about this briefly before, but
Yeah. I mean, it's that clan identity thing. So because we've lost the clan identity, we're looking for community outside,
yeah,
because the family's been destroyed. And,
yeah,
as it goes back,
yeah,
how long it goes, it goes back and back and back,
yeah,
the reasoning behind it.
yeah,
Um, but yes, I agree. Of course, we want to protect our children above and beyond anything else, the future generations that are coming in behind us.
yeah,
How are they, one, coping with the
yeah,
world as it is? How
yeah,
are they going to deal with having mothers like us who have been programmed, possibly, um, unknowingly, and how
yeah,
that then gets inserted into the children
yeah. It's
by
absolutely true.
association?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's absolutely crucial, which is why I'm so passionately, like 24/7,
Mm.
deprogramming and educating myself because, you know, like you said, Karleen, about like the next generation or being a parent or just being around young children, whether you're in whatever human arena you're in, how can we have true soul, true heartfelt, open, honest, uncensored communication when we're unable to access those parts of ourselves because something else has come in to give new concepts and new ideologies, whether it's about unity, nature, the new human, the new spiritual, the one world, whatever it is. How do we have these open, honest communications with one another when those concepts are coming in willy nilly into most people's lives? As we said before, although this conversation is about what's happened with the solicitor, this is not a singular example on this planet. There's plenty of examples like what we're speaking of today on the planet. They might not be Oracle Girl or Purification Space, but there are some that are very, very similar, you know.
Agree. Agree.
Yeah.
It's not just that, and it's a shame that somebody feels like they have to protect themselves that much to create a letter from a solicitor.
Yeah.
Um, but we all have different motivations. You
Yeah.
know, some people's public perception or public image and business are more important to them.
Yeah. Well, it was important to all of us before they shut everything down in 2020. We all had a job and a
Oh, I don't
business
know.
profession.
See, thing is that like
Some of
that's
us.
never, yeah, right, okay, but that's never been really been that important to me. Like
No, agreed.
I don't really have a public persona, so you can shoot me, shoot anything you like at me.
Yeah.
If it's the right thing and it's honest and truthful, I'll own it. If it's
Yeah.
not, then I will rebut it. And you know, like money, I
Yeah.
don't need that much. Do you see what I mean? It's like
Oh,
I'm not,
yeah.
um, money doesn't interest me either. It's not a thing. So somebody threatening that this may have an impact on my business. What business, love? You
Yeah.
know?
What is this
It's like,
business
what
anyway?
business do you think that I'm making millions of pounds behind the scenes or something?
Yeah.
When most of the money that I make is or rather, most of the sessions that I do are not for money anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, Carleen. I mean, knowing you and I am the same, there isn't a difference. There isn't a public image and then a private person behind the scenes doing things differently. It's one and the same. And,
Well,
when
because
you
that's
talk,
transparent and honest to
yeah,
me,
well,
and
yeah,
I
I mean,
don't
that's normal, isn't it?
I don't know. Apparently, we're supposed to put on this front and pretend that we're more businessy, as a
Yeah.
as a therapist, and I just can't. I'm sorry. Maybe it's my failing, but I just can't do it.
But I think I mean, I'm going to say it's certainly not a failing. And we're living now in the end of 2024. And I would say that from the most of the things I'm seeing out there and conversations I'm having, literally huge swathes of humanity want authenticity, meaning that there's starting to be a recognition that people can't be out there acting as one thing and then being something else behind the scenes in whatever arena you're gallivanting around in, because it interferes with genuine consent. It interferes with genuine consent, because if you're getting a stage performance here and other agendas going on there, but you think it's this thing there, then you're consenting to something that you have got no idea what you're consenting to.
Yeah.
So you're in a conflict of interest with yourself, but you don't even know it. And that's, what 2020, the theme of 2020 seemed to be all about as well, which was, what is consent? How can you consent to something when you're not sure what all the ingredients are?
Yep.
And I'm not just talking about a cocktail, the ingredients of anything. Yeah. In the
what
arm,
goes
cocktail
into
in the
it,
arm.
what goes in it. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
what is going on? So for me, with going along with the purification space, to me, it looked like it was almost like a multi-spectrum thing. It's like, we love nature. We know there's corruption on the planet, or in arenas or in certain areas or pockets. We want to be able to use personal consent. We're aware that things are a big mess on planet Earth, whether it's spirituality or religion or entertainment industries or education industries, or let's just put it, room for improvement. So all these things are supposedly going to be purified. That sounds interesting in a way. If someone's out front saying, I'm
it sounds really
advanced.
good.
Yeah, I'm advanced and I know what's going on. So, but, when you're talking, I mean, I've got to own this. I think I might have said it last time, but I just feel like saying it again today. A major part of this, going into this, was obviously I didn't know what it was, so I was curious. I'm curious because of something weird is going on in 2020. I want to know. I want to know. I've been curious since I was a child. But the very fact that it was donations, and that these donations, financial donations, were going to supposed worthy causes or choices of Oracle Girl LLC, whoever's making those choices. So that if you are donating for a purification, whatever that is, whether it's a world issue or a personal issue or whatever, she always called it blocks, patterns, and issues, a purification for various things. If you are donating, now I am the sort of person that's been doing that since I was very young. I've always been a donator to charitable causes. I didn't really know enough about what happens to money through charities or not. I don't know. I'm not in that field. So when I saw all this stuff laid out on a website that I'm looking through, like there's donations to this project, that initiative, these people here, people that we are told in society are suffering more than us, supposedly, that gave me a sense of being reassured. Like, oh, this money's going to people that need it, and at that time, Karleen, we didn't know what was going on the planet. I didn't know that the whole of the music industry was going to collapse practically if you weren't doing the thing.
Yeah.
So, I'm sort of getting really emotively, what would the word be, activated. Like, oh my God, these poor people around the world, giving, and feeling like I must give, I must give, I must give. And I want to give, I want to give, I want to give. I've always been a giver, whether that's through music or.
Yeah, but I think a lot of us, I think that isn't that what we are as humans?
Yes.
We want to be giving, we want to
We
care,
are
and we do
giving,
care
yeah,
about, you know, our brothers and sisters on the planet, don't we?
exactly. It's normal. So it looked perfectly okay on the first glance.
You gonna say
No, you.
it? Oh, shit. Getting me in trouble. So a company set up for shares
Mm.
that's receiving donations, and that's not necessarily a dodgy thing to do. But having worked, see, I've got the kind of the other side of it. So I've
Mm.
worked in charities, local charities that
Right.
have um you know done local things. So as
Yeah.
running a charity, a local charity. I'm also a director of a CIC.
Mm.
So that
Wow.
CIC, community interest company, it's not doing anything at the moment. It's just we're building it. Um, so to me, donation and
Yeah.
funding council regulations over where your donations go and what money is spent for would be set up a CIC, set up a
Mm.
community interest company so that all of
Mm.
the where the donations are going is transparent and there is no shareholder that can take donations as an income.
Yeah. I mean, these are the things that I do not have experience of and don't have knowledge of. And they definitely bear investigation because, like, I don't understand, using, my personal experience and witnessing of what I was involved in. Why isn't there an address belonging to Oracle Girl LLC? Why isn't there somewhere where you can see exactly how much money was spent and on which project, which initiative? Um, what happens to any money that doesn't go there? Where does it, who, and like you said, shareholders or stakeholders, like who's getting what?
Mm.
I don't know how businesses run or charities run. So why isn't there an address? And also, why isn't there, like, why can't you go somewhere with your concerns? Why can't you have a complaints procedure, for example? You can't. You can only write into the email, Jaqueline at Oracle Girl, for example, and then it's only the team that will answer it. She won't answer it. But like you said, it's not typical. Well, you haven't said this, these are my words. It sounds like it's not typical sort of donation. What charities donate things and they're supposed to show their books.
Well, the thing is, with a charity, you have to be registered with the Charity Commission, right?
Yeah,
So you have more stringent guidelines for a charity than you do for a company.
right.
So a CIC is also a company that is like you can either have one limited by shares or limited by guarantee. And the majority of people in the UK create a community interest company
Mm,
limited by guarantee, which
mm,
means that there are no stakeholders, there are no shares that can be
yeah.
gained from that isn't it, because that kind of leads into, well, is it profit or is it not profit?
Mm,
Um, you know,
yeah.
and that is for community interest. And the
Mm,
community interest company can then donate money to a charity, for example, um, for whatever project it wants to do. It just seems a really, I don't know how to put it, a not normal, in my opinion, from how
yeah.
I've done companies and been involved with charities and
Yeah.
charitable giving. Um, it just seems a really weird way to set something up, that's all.
Yeah, it does. I mean, this is where, there is, I feel like humanity, or like the ordinary person like me, you know, how do we know these things? Because we're not in those fields. We've not been doing those things, accountancy and financing and setting up charities or whatever, or even setting up a business. Because this is what's strange. I mean, like an LLC, which is what Oracle Girl is, that's a limited liability company, isn't it? Which means if anything
Yep.
goes wrong with their company, they, well, I don't know, is it like they are less responsible for it because they're personal. They won't be
It's separate.
responsible.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
business is a separate entity.
yeah,
So, a limited liability company is basically one where the people that are running the company have limited liability for the company's business.
yeah. And that seems a little bit, I don't know. I mean, it also seems strange because when I was researching to try and find out more so I could understand, what I'd been through and why none of it seemed to add up anymore. I mean, I don't understand why a company would be dissolved, a company's house, for example. What does that mean?
So dissolving a company means that it's no longer trading.
Well, yeah, but it is, isn't it? Because it's on the internet. So that doesn't make sense to me. So if a company's been dissolved by the UK government and it's no longer trading, how come it still exists and people are paying by Stripe or crypto and donating through a website to what and how?
Well, I guess that's something that needs investigating.
Yeah, I mean that's the things.
It's
Yeah, they definitely bear investigation. I don't know how to do it, but they concern me because it all feels uncomfortable. Yeah. So, did anything flash in front of the screen there? Because there was a weird thing came on the screen which I had to press a button. Was it all right? Or I?
yeah, I think
Okay,
so. I
good. There
don't
was
know. I didn't see a button this end, so
good because there were a whole load of pages flashed up, and I had to quickly. And you know how great I am with tech. You know.
Well, it's about as good as I am. I don't even spend like forever going, oh, I'm going to put this mic in and then going, oh my God, I can't actually hear anything for hours.
Yeah, it's all that stuff. It's all a bit of a challenge. Yes. I mean, yeah. So yeah, these things are still unanswered questions, and I mean, how do you feel about leaving it there for today, Karleen?
I think that we will leave it there for today. I think that
Yeah,
that is probably a good idea.
yeah,
So basically, what we're saying is that what I am saying, and I have to kind of say it for myself, I can't really speak for you,
no,
is that I can't give a public apology. I cannot do that and be in good conscience with myself. What happens from that and what happens going forward, who knows? At the moment, this is just a threat and no legal action has actually been taken.
yet, yeah,
Um, you know,
yeah,
but I can't not speak the truth and I can't give an apology for something that I deny wholeheartedly.
yeah,
That's me. I'm done now. You can finish. You can sign off if you
yeah.
want.
No, it was good to hear, Carly, and also to highlight. I like what you said there because you know you're speaking for yourself, and I'm speaking for myself, and this would be an ideal situation on planet Earth. There's way too many people speaking on behalf of others and making assumptions about what people mean or what they're doing. So yeah, from my perspective, claiming my voice and what I'm doing, I feel exactly the same. I am trying to raise awareness and I have a human right to speak out about a situation and techniques I endured that were harmful to me. And I do not feel and cannot make a public apology because I've done nothing wrong. I've done nothing wrong. So I cannot make a public apology. And as for assertions of malicious defamation, that is false because I'm talking about my personal experience.
Absolutely.
I am not isolated in my personal experience. These are recognized techniques that are used on people in many different situations, not just in the one that I was subjected to. So I don't take kindly actually to being threatened by a solicitor's letter. I also find it quite shocking that there's someone out there calling themselves an advanced being that then decides to resort to a solicitor's letter when at the same time they speak scathingly of the entirety of the world societies and their institutions, establishments, and foundational whatevers, but at the same time decides to use them as a threat.
See, I don't know her. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I don't really
Yeah.
know her. I can just see the effects of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just, I am sharing, the things that, I was involved in, which was turning up to monthly messages, twice weekly events, as they call it now, but they're just voice recordings dealing with world events. monthly messages, additional events, so I'm talking about the things that I've heard out of her own mouth, that, things that need purifying on the planet. So why someone would then go to a solicitor and ask that solicitor to then threaten people, which to me is to silence. I am entitled to free speech. I am entitled to share my opinion in honesty and transparency and in public out loud. So yeah, I cannot apologize or do anything differently to how I'm doing, because that would be against my conscience and my integrity, because I am deeply concerned about what's going on. So
Same,
that's how it is for me. Yeah.
same, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's it. It's broken out there.
Yeah.
All of the silent, quietness of not actually communicating with people. I'm so sorry. I will get back to you soon. In the meantime, I don't know, Chuchin, keep on driving. I don't know what are you supposed to sign off with at this
I know.
point.
What do you sign off with? Like, watch out for those cult dynamics, everyone, because they can appear anywhere between just two people. In fact, I don't know. Keep cult free, keep coercive control free.
Well, keep questioning. Maybe that's the way. Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
until
just
next
my
time,
personal choice.
guys, can't even say it. Keep questioning. Keep questioning the reality. Keep questioning yourself.
Yeah,
And I will send you loads of love, and I will see you soon, sweetheart. You take care,
I will. Thanks, Karleen. Lovely to
darling.
see you again,
You
and
too,
lots of love
darling.
to everyone that's listening in. And yeah,
Okay,
take care,
bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye. See you.